Good morning, everyone. GM. Welcome to another episode of FOMO HOUR. Today, it's Thursday, March 6th, 2025. Folks, sun is shining here in Chicago. We're feeling good. We're warming up. Spring around the corner. Crypto markets warming up as well. Perhaps ahead of tomorrow's big crypto summit, outperforming stocks. But the question on everyone's mind, is tomorrow's sell the news or the beginning of the true crypto golden bull run? We're going to break it all down on today's show. No Farokh, he is landing in DC right now. Going to rub elbows with all the crypto bigwigs here today and tomorrow. But we've got Mando on, Logan on. This is Mando GM. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How you been?
Very good. Every day we wake up and there's green candles on. I'm always in a good mood. And we're still looking good here today. Logan, happy to have you on with us. GM, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Tyler. Doing well. A little chilly here, but otherwise can't complain.
I feel like a lot of news in like more of the Web3 sector. So excited. I know you've been busy writing about it.
Yeah, not major stuff, not stuff to get like overly excited about, but enough to have some conversations.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll get into that probably more closer to the second half of the show. But folks, what are we talking about on today's show? We'll start with Mando's market report. Crypto outperforming stocks here this morning. So majors are up a few percent here. Sachs is coming out, maybe telegraphing what this crypto reserve is actually going to be.
You know exactly what it is.
Yes. Although we don't want to hear it. We're not going to believe it until we actually hear it. Coinbase is tokenizing stocks. Does that matter? Why does it matter? We've got a new partnership with World Liberty Financial and SWE. Kevin Rose bringing back Dig. And man, do people hate that online. Robinhood partnering with Trivia HQ. Punk's catching some love. Huge day of Punk sales yesterday. And meme coin latest. We'll go around a little bit on the horn there, and then 90cc partnering with MasterCard. So there's a decent number of topics on the list for today. Before we dive in, shout out to our partners, starting with Galaxis. Galaxis is a Web3 platform empowering creators and brands to build unstoppable communities with full ownership and independence, trusted by icons like Donald Trump, Steve Aoki, Mike Tyson, and the NBA, shaping together the future of engagement. And Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to a Web3 app, you've seen Wallet Connect. That blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa at checkout. If you want to learn more, follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. We love our partners. Shout out to them as always. Mando, if you're ready, let's get into it.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
GM, everyone. So yeah, we've had it still feels like a macro dominated market. Though interestingly, I said yesterday we went out the woods in terms of macro. Stocks have opened down 3%. Bitcoin's barely moved. In fact, it's held above 90K, which I think is a pretty noticeable sign. It's actually going to turn positive, even looks like on the 24-hour here. So I think that's something to feel pretty bullish about, if I'm honest. I think we can feel pretty good about that kind of across the board. This is obviously going into tomorrow's conference, which I think a lot of people, have got some pretty lofty expectations about what's going to come out of it. I don't know if tomorrow is going to be a sell the news event, but it feels like today people are willing to gamble a little bit. So yeah, we're definitely looking a little bit better here. Feels like majors are actually bouncing as we speak. Solana going back towards 150 area, Bitcoin going to 91K area, and some more risky bits of the market also moving, like Farokh is back up to 350 million, which I think is fairly interesting, although the rest of that sector isn't necessarily trading that well. And yeah, just a generally more risk on sentiment. Interestingly, it is more DeFi and L1s than memes. That's what I've noticed. Like people are far more interested in buying those right now. That feels to me like a medium-term trend, if I'm honest. I don't know if you guys would agree, but it's like I think people are interested in are not that interested in the really risky stuff at the moment yet. I think it will take a Bitcoin all-time high for that to happen, but they're definitely getting more interested in altcoins, L1s, that sort of stuff, which is fine. Like Bitcoin's been moving 10% a day. Like it's okay just to like have your risk in Solana and trade that around. But we've seen some decent bounces here kind of across the board. Macro today, like it feels as though it's selling off because of these tariffs, just general risk off sentiment across the board for macro. We've also had a bit of a bond sell off. That's something I think probably pay attention to a little bit here. After Europe announced its big spending package and the idea it's going to spend all this money on arms, you've seen bond yields go up very, very high. This sounds very, very boring, but at the same time, like when bond yields go really high, often that's because of how indebted these countries are. That can lead to like currency crisis. So people are saying that Europe basically doesn't have the money to pay for this, and the bond market's saying that as well. So you're seeing like multi-decade highs in things like the German, well, not multi-decade, but like they are going a lot higher. UK yields, German yields, Japanese yields are hitting multi-decade highs, to be fair. And that can be nothing. It also can be a bit of a worry. So I don't think we're like completely out of the woods. If we have a currency crisis in one of these major economies, then I think people would freak out. And that's kind of, I think, what stocks are maybe half doing here. But maybe I'll just stay on top of it during each show, and I'll let you know if anything's breaking right now. But people are a little bit worried about Europe here and its ability to fund a war, essentially. I don't really know what else in terms of crypto, right? Like it's just been, we're now just all waiting for this new conference tomorrow, and who's invited, who's not, like who's going from ETH. Like Ondo was up massive yesterday because they got an invite. Sui's up today because it partnered with World Liberty Financial. It still feels slightly crony like the market. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're in the know, you're gonna win. If not, then you're kind of screwed. And the market's kind of telling you that because it just like goes up and down. And clearly, some people with insider information are making money from each kind of move. There was some positive news, particularly for ETH yesterday. We saw the first company announce it's going to have an ETH treasury. This BioNexus company. Yes. We've generally seen Bitcoin treasuries, so it was interesting to see an ETH one. And I think a lot of ETH people were maybe taken aback by that. Like even the most bullish ETH people, I don't think we're expecting that.
Yeah, have you seen the chart?
Yeah, we're not expecting that to happen. But that is also kind of underpinning, I think, the relative strength here is that like people still feel that Bitcoin could be bullish here in terms of adoption versus a lot of other things. So yeah, good market for Bitcoin, and that's maybe driving interest in some of the other stuff. In general, it feels like people prefer L1s to gamble on more than anything. And we have a few more states as well getting a little bit closer. So like New Hampshire, we say it's going to get a little bit closer. Obviously Texas. And the other big one was Coinbase. Coinbase is going to offer tokenized coin, which I think, that could really drive demand. That's what we've been hoping for a long, long time. Some sort of rules around tokenization of stocks essentially allows these exchanges to start trading way more assets, and that maybe underpins the L1 bullish, less bullish meme culture stuff that's happening right now. People are now starting to look through and seeing that we could have a ton different sorts of assets you could trade on chain.
Yeah, that was huge news. And I want to get into that here in a bit. I think the other piece, maybe we would start with predictions for tomorrow, the summit. You kind of went there a little bit, Mando. I think that perhaps soft news, a tease, a telegraph from David Sachs here this morning as he came out and mentioned how the U.S. government has sold off basically 200,000 Bitcoin had they held it, it'd be worth 17 billion. And this is the cost taxpayers have paid for them not having a long-term strategy. You could interpret this as a sign that the U.S. strategic reserve is just going to hold any Bitcoin the U.S. government gets versus buys. So is that your read on this? And then if that is the case tomorrow, are we just going to candle back to 82K?
I don't know what people are expecting. I think they're probably expecting more than that, but that's what I think. That's like, he cannot say that they're going to buy Bitcoin. Just get that out of your head. Like he would have to go through Congress and the Senate. So we can't just say, hey, we're going to buy Bitcoin tomorrow. It cannot happen. So, and it's the same with the tax stuff. Like they can say they might propose it, but then it goes, I don't even know if that would be taken positively, because like people will realize it probably won't go through either house to do that. Because are you going to spend taxpayer money to do it? Maybe, but I think that'd be very, very tough to buy Bitcoin with taxpayer money. And I think second thing is, are you going to sell gold to do it? And I think a lot of people will be like, no, we're not going to sell gold to buy Bitcoin in Congress and the Senate. So I think it's going to be very difficult to do that. I continue to think that this could be more them getting involved in mining, which they can do, than getting involved in the in the buying.
That would be interesting. I'm trying to find this quote. Someone yesterday was saying they still think that this is going to be, the U.S. is going to go big on Bitcoin, but I can't find the quote. But they could come out and say a plan is going to include purchasing. And of course, it doesn't mean it's going to start tomorrow. And I totally agree. Like it's going to face a whole lot of challenges. My personal read is if they say if that's not a part of the plan, and if it's simply we're going to hold the assets we have, then I do think we'll sell off on that. Because then it raises the question of where, how would they actually go further than that? If this is where they're starting at, is this where it's going to end? I think the mining piece is interesting. If they come out with more surprises, perhaps I think that would be a new twist, which might impact prices. Logan, curious for your thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm struggling to see how we match the expectations, or how anything that would come from tomorrow would match the expectations created by crypto Twitter and cryptocurrency speculators. I'm with Mando. I mean, I don't think they can come out. Excuse me. I don't think they're going to come out and say some grand, really explicit, transparent plan about this is what we're going to do, X, Y, Z. It's just not going to happen. And even if there is a slight, positive slant to whatever is said, I mean, it's going to be drawn out. The execution of such is going to be drawn out probably so long that any positive little tailwind just gets swept up into the next day's headlines, right? Like I just don't think I'm not suggesting that tomorrow and having all these people in the same room is a bad thing. I certainly don't think that's the case. I just don't expect that whatever comes from it is going to be positive enough to send us to I don't know. What are we at? 91. I don't see us going 91 to 100K tomorrow on something that comes from this summit.
Sad,
but yeah, I know it is sad, right? I want prices to go up too, but I'm trying to be a realist here, and this feels like and maybe that's a little consensus, maybe not, I don't know. But I just don't see something happening on the mining front. I was scrolling the Decrypt feed. I noticed there was an article about the U.S. Releasing the seized Bitcoin mining hardware from, I don't know, must have been Silk Road or before or something. I don't know. I'd have to read the article. I didn't do, but but that's just an interesting note that goes to that. They might have to purchase new hardware if they wanted to.
There's a huge number of Bitcoin, Bitcoin miners in the States, huge, particularly in Texas and other states. And look, there's a lot more countries are getting involved in Bitcoin mining than they are in Bitcoin buying, right? Bitcoin mining, there's a number of countries in the Gulf. There's Bhutan. There's Belarus. There's quite a few. Anyone who has cheap electricity looks at this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that would be the most obvious play. like some sort of like, we'll give you a subsidy, or you pay your taxes in Bitcoin to these miners, or, you know, like that's how they get the strategic petroleum reserve, for example, right? Like I think you got to consider how the US just, I don't think it needs to to buy. Like I think it
I
can
would
just
agree. I mean, I guess just pointing this out, like in this scenario where they're mining, you're saying they mine and accumulate.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
like,
or
they're not just mining to sell on the open market.
no, they'll do a big deal with some like Marathon or one of these other big US miners and be like, hey, yeah, we'll do a deal, we'll subsidize, or we'll have a co-mining facility here, invest and you'll get tons of jobs or something like that, right? Then they get their Bitcoin, it becomes part of the cheap reserve, and they're not buying it through Coinbase. The more and more you run through how they could possibly buy it, it becomes more difficult for me. Like, I do think the Sovereign Wealth Fund has a shot, but then you still have to ask how the Sovereign Wealth Fund is funded itself. Like, money just doesn't come out of anywhere, right? So the Sovereign Wealth Fund, for it to be funded, it would also have to sell assets. Now, what does the US have? It has real estate, and it has gold, and it has a couple of other important resources. So I have to sell some of those to fund this, or you could say he's going to fund it with tariffs. But the tariffs figure, I mean, I don't think they're going to raise that much from those enough. Like, the tariffs is already kind of for the budget, right? Like, tariffs can't be for everything. So the amount of money that would go to balancing the budget versus sovereign wealth fund, I think, would be quite small. So maybe they would issue bonds, like maybe they'd issue like gold-backed bonds and buy Bitcoin with that. I don't know, like that, like some sovereign wealth funds, like Norway does that. Norway like has a sovereign wealth fund which issues debt, and but majority of them are funded elsewhere. Like the Gulf ones are all, you know, because they sell oil and gas, and then they fund them that way. But the US would basically have to start selling some of their resources to do this, and I just don't know how that conversation happens. I just don't think there's a world where the US sells gold to buy Bitcoin. I just think it would be very difficult.
It's a tricky move. I think the mining makes the most sense. I think there's also been an argument, like one of the concerns for Bitcoin on a 20, 30 year time horizon is eventually it will become that the incentives will drop as the rewards fall, and that private companies may not want to do it anymore. And then you lose security of the network. But would it make sense for government entities to step in and take that on as more of a utility service?
That's a good point, actually. So, I mean, someone's in the comments saying, "How did crypto become? We need the government to buy our coins." Like, what am I missing? This was all about to begin with. I do think it'd be pretty fucking hilarious if the U.S. government starts mining Bitcoin and becomes the reason why Bitcoin survives in a no-fee world. Like, how perverse versus the original incentives do we want to get here? Like,
sure,
but yes. It would be probably beneficial for the long-term future of Bitcoin if there were non-profit orientated people validating nodes.
Yeah. And I mean, to address the comments, I think Bitcoin can certainly survive without the U.S. buying. We're just talking about near-term price action, right? And everyone levering up to the tits ahead of this White House summit tomorrow, thinking we're going to get some blockbuster announcement. I think there's going to be news on the reserve. I think there's got to be something else too. Like, it's got to be more than just this. Maybe it's a sovereign wealth fund announcement. We just saw the headline from Bloomberg that looks like this Morgan Stanley banker Michael Grimes is going to be tapped to lead this. I don't know a ton about him. I did a little bit of research. Seems like he did some crypto dealing back with Elon in the FTX days, but I didn't really get much further than that. So I don't have a huge read on him personally. So we'll see. And then if there's any wild card announcements, we've talked about that. I'm sure we'll talk about it again more on tomorrow's show. I do want to talk about this Coinbase story. So I heard this is a big one. And the news here is Coinbase pushing forward once again on tokenizing equities, effectively tokenizing securities and stocks and bringing them on chain. Their CFO reminded folks like, hey, like Coinbase tried this back in 2020 and basically just got rejected. But now under a more crypto-friendly administration, they feel like they've got more of a shot to actually push this through. And as a part of this, they want to start with Coinbase stock. So Coin will be the first tokenized stock that they want to bring on chain here. So there's a lot to unpack. I guess, Logan, I'm curious if you saw this story, any initial reactions / like, is this something that you would personally be interested in? Like, would you trade tokenized stocks on chain?
Yeah, it's interesting. I did see the story. I read this from the block, and I saw maybe Armstrong's tweets about this as well. Would I trade stocks on chain? To be honest, like I don't have a real strong incentive I don't think to be trading stocks on chain. I'm not a super active trader anyway, so I'm not necessarily perhaps the target demographic for something like that. That type of product anyway. But I totally understand the bullishness behind getting more money on chain, right? To be able to do more things on chain. I'm all for all things like that. So I do think it makes sense. It's something that. Right. What FTX, Luna, like all those projects back in the day were talking about as, foreshadowing, hopefully a future in which, you could trade all these equities, traditional equities on chain. So I think it's a matter of when, not if, for when this actually does take place. I don't know what it means for like the average participant. I'm not sure if it matters really all that much. But in terms of bringing a bunch of money on chain, I think that's super impactful. Like, though, I guess one of the hard parts for me, Tyler, is just like, and I know this is really boring and lame, but just like the tax considerations, like there's still like so much uncertainty regarding crypto taxes, crypto regulation. Is this weird, like to do this trading on chain, or are they going to make it easy? Who knows? Because otherwise, just trading with your typical broker or brokerage, like it's probably a lot simpler, to be honest.
Yeah, they do all the reporting for you. So I see that. And like, I think my realistic take is like, is Joe Schmo down the street going to come on chain to trade stocks on chain as his first use case? Probably not. Right. Like he something would have already brought that person on chain by now if they were interested in it. And I don't think this is it, but I do think it is a way to keep capital on chain. So like there are plenty of crypto traders who also trade stocks in other asset classes, right? And like, let's say you think Tesla is going to outperform Ethereum. Well, up until now, you have to sell your Ethereum and off ramp and buy Tesla via your stock account. And now you're going to be able to keep that capital on chain, which in theory, my pie in the sky hopium is it also brings it easy. It makes it easier to, Tesla runs 30% and then you swap back to ETH, right? For this example. So it keeps it on chain. I think that the bigger story is this: we're in 6 weeks, we're seeing more and more ripples and impacts of the crypto-friendly U.S. administration, and whether or not, like we just had the commenter saying, we're celebrating a government buying our bags, like, and that is a silly thing to do, and I understand that, but a government that is enabling innovation rapidly is a bigger deal.
Yeah, for sure. Right? I think one of the other things that stuck out to me, particularly maybe is just this article and the framing, and I maybe need to dig a little deeper, is I was a little disappointed to see that even the comments from Haas and others in here, like, I didn't really get the why they're so excited about it. Of course, I recognize getting the 24/7 trading. I think Armstrong references that. Getting more people on chain. Yes, I understand that. They didn't feel to me in reading this that there was like any other detailed excitement points beyond those things. And maybe I'm just tired of that because we've been hearing that for a while as like the pros, right? Being able to trade 24/7. You saw the tweet, that copy pasta at this point in time, right? From, was it Eric Trump? But yeah, Yeah, I was missing a little bit of like some of the other, I guess, like smaller bullet points about why this is so exciting, aside from the fact that, you can trade it whenever and it brings money on chain. And maybe it's just those things, and I need to just be okay with those are simple and big points, but I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more in terms of why.
Is the writing on the wall or like between the lines here that this is a new business line for them and like they're going to facilitate stock trading on chain? Because that is a big deal for Coinbase.
That's a big deal. I mean, does this become more of if you're looking for like a play here, of course, I'm not suggesting any financial advice, but like, is this a coin play, right? Is this a Robin Hood play? Is this a whatever, more of like a picks and shovels types things, because they are facilitating, the trading of these equities on chain, versus like nothing else really matters. So this is Coinbase very excited to rack up some more fees. Maybe, who knows?
Mando, curious for your take. Like, is the writing on the wall that Coinbase would be spinning up their own on-chain stock trading business line effectively, or product here?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I think pretty openly they're doing that, right? I think that's been the stated aim of crypto since the beginning. Tokenize everything. It's just not been able to do it in the biggest financial capital, which is the States. And now we're probably going to see that. So yeah, I think we'll see tokenized everything. Like, it will be stocks, bonds, real estate. Everything can go on chain. Obviously, this is what Larry Fink's been saying as well. I don't know if it will like be the only location for this, but I think it could be one of them for sure.
Nick Tomino had a pretty interesting hot take here. I kind of did a double take when I read it.
What did he say?
He said $225 billion in stablecoins presently, $0 in stocks on chain. His prediction: stables pass 1 trillion in 2025, and 100 billion in tokenized stocks on chain in 2025. I guess the 100 billion in stocks on chain actually didn't. I guess if this gets pushed through like that number doesn't really surprise me as much. I don't really know like how to quantify that, but the 1 trillion in stables is kind of what made my jaw drop a little bit. That's 4.5x. Where we're at?
I don't think you're gonna do that. But that's just my gut. But I do think
the total
up only.
Total market cap is 3 trillion.
So what's the path? Let's play this out. So like, what would be the path to 1 trillion in the next 9 months? Is it banks launching their own stable?
Yeah, it would be banks. It would be banks. I mean, this kind of goes back to the idea that everyone could. Originally, it was everyone could have a coin, and I think now it could turn into everyone has a stable coin. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are some benefits to having your own stable coin. You basically can operate semi like a bank. So like big brands could all do it in the same way that you want like a loyalty program, right? Like you keep money on and then they basically can do whatever they want with it. You could see, Nike has a stable coin, big banks have a stable coin, Amazon has a stable coin, rather than having a coin. Now I don't know, but they could easily do that. Yeah.
It's an interesting one. If this prediction comes true, I guess I feel like asset prices would be higher. And I know that banks launching stable coins on paper doesn't mean the price of our tokens are going up, but I feel like the amount that would signal, like that level of capital coming on chain this rapidly, I feel like would be a very big signal just to people perhaps who are on the fence, to traditional institutional players. So I think it would be a very bullish outcome, but perhaps a little lofty. We will see. I want to go around the horn. A few other headlines from the day. I do want to hit this SWE news. It broke right before the show. So if folks haven't seen this, SWE announced a new strategic partnership with Trump's World Liberty FI. So as a part of this, World Liberty FI is going to add SWE to that WLF strategic reserve. The two are going to form a new partnership to develop new products as well. It looks like from the release, the WLFI team first approached SWE due to their underlying tech and the potential to play a role in modern finance. We have a couple quotes here from Eric Trump. Zach Folkman, Eric said, we're excited to work with SWE and explore the innovative opportunities this collab presents. And then Zach Folkman, who's the co-founder of World Liberty FI. We chose SWE for its American-born innovation combined with impressive scale and adoption. It is a natural complement to our mission of bringing decentralized finance to more Americans. We did see SWE rally quite a bit initially on the news. Yeah, so it's up 17% on the day, basically candling up right on the back of the announcement. Seems like we've had a bit of mixed reactions so far, at least on crypto Twitter to this one. Curious, Mando, Logan, if you guys have takes on this one, or we can continue to move along.
I mean, they just gave him $5 million, right? Like, just it is what it is. This is what World Liberty Financial is quickly becoming, almost like a crypto slush fund. And with that, you get the Trump seal of approval, and you maybe get to go to a dinner like this. I don't know. I'm not. I've been pretty vocal that I think World Liberty Financial is not good.
Mm. It seems like people are also conflating now World Liberty Financial actions with U.S. government actions too. So like it's getting a little bit murky. Like I think people saw the headline. I think maybe Watcher Guru ran a headline that was a little bit light on details and thought SWE was being added to like the U.S. government strategic reserve. So a little bit
what they want. It's what the coins want. And there is the reason why it's getting blurred is because it is blurred. I tell you right now, the people that got invited to this crypto conference, I bet you they're all World Liberty Financial people as well. Like,
well, I think I've seen headlines that some of the attendees are some of the bigger donors, right? So like I don't know that that's even like a secret. That's like public information at this point. At the same time, we were praising Coinbase for pushing pro crypto agenda and fundraising and backing their candidates, right? So like all of this is a little bit blurred, I guess.
Yeah,
is just what I'm saying.
Yeah, the last 6 months has been a lot of pay for play type stuff. I mean, it's kind of how the world works, and we're seeing it here. I think that one of the most difficult parts for me, just echoing some of Mando's sentiments, is like, if you were giving World Liberty Financial the benefit of the doubt that it was looking to become a legitimate, DeFi platform of sorts, it's becoming more and more difficult to understand how all these pieces fit together. Like, how does SWE play with all the other assets? It's literally just a strategic reserve play. Like, they're just going to hold coins, and what else are they doing? I don't even understand. Like, I don't know. That part becomes
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think we need to know a little bit more still about like what World Liberty FI's big plans are and what are they doing here.
Let me stop you right there. There's no big plan. Like,
right.
There's no partnership here. There is nothing. There's nothing happening. It is just some money that has been used, and in return, you get big marketing. You get the seal of approval. Like, this is what this is. There was a report out, I think it was a couple of days ago, saying like business leaders are paying $5 million to meet Trump at the moment. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did see that. I commented how he would cook on time.fun if those are his going rates.
This is the same thing.
I don't know how that's legal. Like, can you? That just feels like blatant bribery. Like, we're gonna spend five.
One man's bribery is another man's donation. You know, sure. How do you think the U.S. political system works? Right, you call that bribery in other countries. The U.S. is built on this thing.
Sometimes I'm hopelessly optimistic, perhaps a bit naive. Well, let's keep going around the horn. I think another piece of news that has captured a lot of reactions from the market. We didn't have a chance to get into this yesterday. Kevin Rose is back, folks. Like him or hate him, it looks like Alexis Ohanian has partnered with Kevin Rose to reacquire Dig. and they're installing Moonbirds artist and COO Justin Mazel as the CEO. Logan, I see your name on the article. So you wrote this one. Like, tell us about this.
I might have declined the assignment had I known the backlash. No, I mean the announcement itself is like pretty minimal. So Dig, of course, Kevin Rose co-founded Dig a long time ago. I was not a Dig user, but from what I read about Dig, it was quite popular and like a useful thing for a while. The social news site, I guess you could characterize it as. I don't know if either of you used it or not. Anyway, he left, right? They sold, I think, parts of it, and then he and Ohanian reacquired it yesterday. They announced the reacquirement, and they're going to reboot Dig using AI as like a really, really strong content moderation platform, trying to basically thread the needle, I think, between today's social platforms, more or less. And of course, given the disdain that Kevin Rose has earned in crypto, you see that ethos rating there, 504. Not sure I've seen one lower. The timeline went nuts, even though as of right now, there is no known connection to crypto, blockchain, anything like that. They do mention a few times rewarding human participation. The Verge article, Mazel commented about that. I think the press release may have said something about it as well. I reached out to representatives for Dig, did not receive a reply regarding that, so TBD. But yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. People they see his name get real fired up. All you can do is drop in an email to be alerted about when the platform goes live. That's it.
This is the part of the reason why this is so interesting to me is like I've seen a lot of smart people that I respect say like this could actually be a very interesting re-up of this product. And I think Alexis Ohanian is a very serious player. Of course, you know, with Reddit and whatnot, but I feel like the NFT CT crowd is just so jaded by anything Kevin Rose. Like I believe that like he might be the single lowest rated person on Ethos.
Yeah.
Right now with 500. And if folks aren't familiar with Ethos, it's a reputation platform. Everyone starts with a 1,200 number baseline. So like 1,900 is good, very good. It would put you like top 10. 500 is very bad. So clearly he's not well liked in the Web3 streets. I don't think that's news to anyone. I posted about this morning, and my replies were just flooded with angry comments. So people are mad online, and they're mad at Kevin Rose. I think does the Justin Mazel piece like?
I think that must be part of this. That is, you see Moonbirds, right, and you roll over into what happened. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I personally like the app itself. Like I said, I did not use the first iteration of Dig. For a time, it was very, very popular by, in all the reporting that I did. It doesn't seem like a bad thing to have if they do it well. Like social news, like we're receiving this via via crypto Twitter every single day. Like it's just another competitor of sorts to Reddit, X, etc. But what's so bad about somebody trying to do that a little bit better? That doesn't seem like that big of a deal, and the platform's not even live. So
I thought it was interesting in the context that you saw that Alexis Ohanian also put in a bid for TikTok.
And he wants to bring that on chain.
He wants to bring that on chain. So he clearly is Web3 adjacent, or is very much aware of what he's doing. So ignore the Kevin Rose stuff. I think pay attention to what Alexis Ohanian is doing. He's looking up bringing on some of these social media style sites on chain.
Yeah, he's also actually asteroid mining missions. I learned that as well. So he's got his hands in a lot of things.
Got a lot of money.
One of the things that I don't think people realized about so I wrote the TikTok story for Decrypt the day before as well. Sorry if I'm rehashing anything you guys may have talked about, but he actually like specifically calls out that thread right there, Tyler, like 2 posts down, he calls out. He very much mentions the blockchain itself that they're talking about. I think it gets skipped over, that little frequency note there. So frequency is a blockchain. It's a layer 1 blockchain.
I did not know
that was a note that I had to do a double take, but in my reporting came across. It's a layer 1 blockchain based on I'm going to mess up the DNSP, basically a decentralized social networking protocol. But Frank McCourt, former Dodgers owner, the billionaire who's behind Project Liberty, which is the entity making the bid for TikTok, basically that's what they've selected as the empowerment network for this bid, right? So they want to get TikTok US, they want to acquire that and bring it to Frequency, bring the data, the social graph data, right, onto Frequency. It's already been outlined. I mean, it's like literally on the People's Bid website, which is the website which indicates, the details of this bid they're making for TikTok USA. So it's spelled out. I mean, he's literally telling you which blockchain. So Frequency itself started as a Polkadot parachain, and has since they partnered with Consensus in November to get its feet wet in Ethereum and EVM. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. I didn't see anybody talking about any of that stuff. We wrote it up. It's over at Decrypt. But yeah, I think that's the more interesting part here too, Mando, is he's very much spelled it out. I mean, he literally said he wants to bring TikTok on chain. Then the very next day, there's more news about a social site, and they all have connections to crypto and blockchain. I'm speculating, of course. I have no information that would suggest that Dig or anything like that will come on chain, or if they have any intention to do so, but it's not the most outlandish leap to make.
Yeah.
Why do we want to have social media on chain? I'm just trying to think about that myself a little bit, because I know with Farcaster there was this idea that like you own your posts and that sort of stuff, but like,
yeah. So
do you really want all your social media posts on chain? It's like having all your messages on chain. Like, I just feel like it's one of those things where like, yeah, I'm not know if I like, I don't know if I want that random tweet I just deleted to be like on the blockchain forever.
Well, and interesting. So I interviewed Nigel Eccles I've talked to him a few times, but when he was building one of his first on-chain sports betting products, and he basically said, you don't want to bring anything on chain that doesn't absolutely need blockchain to function.
Right.
Because it provides a hurdle. So like, I don't really have the answer to that. I understand media on chain from like a protecting revisionist history standpoint.
That's a good example. Like, there's some vetting of what you've posted, but it's like if someone said, do you want to have all your WhatsApp messages on chain? I'd just be like, nah, I don't really.
In fact, the opposite.
Yeah, kind of the opposite of that. And I agree. Like, I actually think that we should put Web3 where it should be. I guess with TikTok, it's videos. So like, and sometimes there's some sort of control about what actually can get posted or not. So maybe there's some like idea that you'll have like but yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm less super bullish on like everything needing to be on chain from a social perspective, messaging perspective, for sure.
Yeah, financial assets make sense.
Yeah,
other things maybe a little bit less. So
my read on why they want to do this is the data ownership piece, right? Like, you don't want TikTok to own your data. That the whole thing that like a lot of the newer newsletter sites are about, right? Like, own your audience, not XYZ owns your audience. Those types of things. Like, I sort of understand that, but it seems I don't understand it in practice, I guess, yet. Like, I can read these buzzwords on the page about like owning your data, somebody else not controlling it. And those things seem good to me, like to read those, but I just don't know really what it looks like. We haven't seen in my opinion, we haven't seen a good implementation of it that makes sense. Like, people do they really want to have to port their data over to things? Like, I think most folks just like don't really give a shit. Like, they've resigned.
It makes sense for Taylor Swift and Snoop Dogg and superstars who have an audience that they can just port over to new platforms. Like Snoop Dogg moving from Spotify to a Web3 platform where he could potentially earn more. That makes a little bit more sense. If you're a random TikTok creator hoping to generate revenue and become a TikTok influencer, it's going to be a lot harder for you without like TikTok helping you out, like and helping you to build that audience. So I think that would be the argument, an argument against it. But we'll certainly see. I want to go around the horn. We have about 10 minutes left in the show. A fun headline from yesterday, and Logan, you wrote up this story, so I'll tee you up again. Folks may remember a very popular trivia game, Trivia HQ, or HQ Trivia rather.
Yeah.
It looks like Robinhood has partnered with the host from that to do a crypto prize game show. So what's the story here?
Yeah, this was fun. So I participated in this. It was a busy day yesterday. Near the end of the day, and they have another one coming today for Robinhood Gold members at 4:45 p.m. Eastern time. But basically, it's if you didn't play HQ Trivia, it's essentially the exact same thing. They're asking 12 multiple choice questions. They're about finance, economics, and cryptocurrencies. And if you answer them all correctly, you split the prize, which it's not a thing to scoff at. It's $1 million in Bitcoin. And I played yesterday and bowed out in like round 3 or 4 or something on some trying to take screenshots for the article. And it was bad. I missed the question, whatever. I'm a dummy. But only 615 people made it all the way through yesterday. So the winners actually got like $1,600 in Bitcoin.
Not bad.
Not too bad, right? For just logging on. It took 15 minutes. Yeah.
So
I mean, it's nothing crazy. Sorry, go ahead.
Are they getting Bitcoin in their Robinhood wallets as the prize then?
Yeah, so they'll be sent the Bitcoin. They basically have to, I think, claim the prize within 30 days or it expires. I don't know that they were sent it already. I think the terms and conditions indicated it would be sent within the first 5 days, and they'd be notified. I was not a winner, so I can't tell you the exact details on how it unfolded, but they did indicate that, 615 people won. And yep, and they have another one coming today. And then the nice part, I guess, there's a consolation prize for gold members, right? The premium subscription is even if you don't win, you get an undisclosed amount of Dogecoin as a prize today. So, I reached out to a representative for Robinhood. They were not able to provide me a detail on exactly how much Dogecoin someone may be able to expect. But nevertheless, if you do play today as a Robinhood Gold member, you're eligible for the Bitcoin prize, assuming you win. But then even if you don't win, you'll get some Dogecoin as a result. So
this is kind of an interesting onboarding mechanism, right? So like Robinhood tapping into their audience, folks who like to trade already. And you win some trivia, you win some Bitcoin, maybe you hold on to it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I played a little bit of HQ Trivia, not a lot. Like I said, it's the exact same flow. It's fun. It's light. It was really quick. There's nothing weird about it. No entry costs. It wasn't like super informative. There were a couple crypto questions about like what's the total Bitcoin supply? What does HODL stand for? When was Dogecoin created? Things like that. Nothing crazy, but still pretty cool little headline. $2 million given away. I mean, that's not nothing to scoff at. That's very nice.
I may have to sign up and try to play. Well, I'm not a gold member. Damn it. All right. Well,
you can become a gold member. There was no snapshot.
Very true. I want to keep moving. A few minutes left. Yesterday, Mando made it a point to mock those who chose the punk side of the punk versus Bitcoin trade. And some people took that personally and went out and bought up a lot of crypto punks. So the floor, I think 20, let's see, how many sales did we get yesterday? 20 in the past 2 days. Now we've got 28 punk sales, some nice ones moving. So it kind of started with a nice little stretch of aesthetic punk sales. And then the floor moved after that. So we saw another 10 or so get picked up off the floor. Punk's now back to, let's see, what do we got? 37.9 ETH, 86.6. So still trailing Bitcoin by about 5%, but tightening the gap because the gap had gotten fairly large there. It was closer to about 15 or 20%. Punk's moving up. So
this feels like one of these battles that only you care about. Do you know what I mean?
Me and Ovi are managing the punk Bitcoin spread trade.
It's like when you daily basis. Exactly. It's just so funny to watch you because you actually post quite a lot about it.
Yes. I find it funny. I think it's an interesting spread to track as well. And
it'd be a good thing for Myriad.
Oh,
definitely a good thing for Myriad.
Shout out a couple while we're on that note. Myriad, we know the money markets are coming soon, very soon. We don't know when that is, but it's very soon. And I saw a stat, like 23% of abstract transactions were done on Myriad. Huge. So shout out to the Myriad crew and just keeping that platform up. That is a huge chunk of those transactions. So we'll be looking out for that. And yes, maybe I can get my punk Bitcoin line live on the money markets here soon. Well, Logie, what else before we wrap up the show? Oh, I guess quickly around the horn on some meme coin stuff. We touched on this a little bit yesterday. On the Solana streets, it still seems like Puiz is kind of like the top dog. It looked like it might be dead. It's coming. It's fighting a little bit. It's hanging out at 21 million. In the AVAX streets, it's all pre-sales. The Blub token doing very well still, hanging out at 77 million still. Down from about 100 million peak, but still hanging out. That's a 77x for anyone who was in the pre-sale. Did see our first sign that, okay, maybe not every pre-sale is going to be a massive cook. So this Albert coin came out. Launched, I think it's another 1 million baseline pre-sale round, went straight to 13 and then down only. So Logie, maybe quick thoughts. AVAX pre-sales, is the meta over? Was Albert just perhaps not the strongest one? What's your read on this?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm really surprised that so many of these have just been like straight up. Like first one, second one, okay, but third, fourth, what's Albert, like the fifth one, maybe? I don't know. Is it over? Probably not. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion. I mean, I think we'll continue to see them come. I think the performance from these tokens, it's got to start being like the little descending loops thing, I would think, after a while.
That's what I thought. I don't know what this Farokh token is. I saw someone posting with this. This Farokh went nuts.
Is that a DEX type thing or no?
The native liquidity layer on AVAX. Yeah. So for whatever reason, that's up 73% today. I think what threw me off a little bit about the pre-sale, so Blub was incredibly strong. Shout out to anyone who got in. Clearly that was the great play. It basically displaced Wink. So Wink was the number 2. Wink now just totally falling off a cliff. So I think there's some signs that not all of these are going to be able to be supported. Ket still hanging out very high. It's still at 300 million. They're about 40% off peak. So we'll see. I think some pre-sales can still cook, but they need to slow it down.
It reminds me a little bit of that period in time in NFTs where it was just like all those like cute meta, you know what I mean? Like all these pre-sales are the same thing. It's just like a new little,
exactly the same. Yeah,
it's like a new little character. I mean, that's not a bad thing. I like the looks of all of them. But it's just I don't know. That's why I think I lead to the descending loops thing. It's like, how many times can you keep doing the exact same thing? I don't know.
Not a ton of volume. I mean, I guess I'm just biased from
anchored to Solana volume,
I guess. But clearly enough to move these tokens. So we will continue to see what happens in AVAX. Real quick, Heno. Do you have a read on this Heno situation?
So disclosure, I own some Heno. I was airdropped some as a honeycomb holder. I have not been super actively paying attention to the Discord. I get a bunch of pings in there. But yeah, this is, so I'm not sure how much people know, but this is the Barachain version of Heno. Comes from Janny or Johnny, the Honeycombs, Honey Jar, just like really, really deep community members and builders in the Barachain ecosystem. This is sort of the incubated meme coin of choice. I think they actually had a seed round for this meme coin. They had like the ability to buy options on this at like a 6.9 million FDV. There's like an Heno thing. There was a very widespread community points system as well for ETH communities, Solana communities, things like that. Future plans, I don't really know too much about at this point in time, but Barachain and the communities there are crazy, as we've seen. They've spent 3 years building that thing, and so many people stuck to their guns and really rallied around it. And despite initial sell-off, like it's still holding pretty well, all things considered, given the market volatility. So it would not shock me to see a meme coin do really, really well there, or like a community coin, whatever you want to call that, do really well. There's a very rabid community surrounding the Bara ecosystem. Hopefully it is Heno, because I do own some. Again, full disclosure. But other than that, I don't know too much about it. Of course, some confusion with the competing Heno, which I also own on base from on-chain Gaias and stuff. But
yeah, I think that's been the more interesting part in the whole like PvP aspect of the two Heno tokens. But it looks
Send
like
them both up.
Yeah, send them both up.
Send them both up. Yeah.
I think that's a good note to end the show on. We went around the horn, folks. Our coin's still doing well here. So shaking off the macro stocks dip here this morning ahead of tomorrow's crypto summit. So I'm sure we'll be talking more about that. Still a little TBD if we're going to have Farokh back with us tomorrow or not. We would love to get a firsthand report from him. We are also in the works of maybe having a big guest tomorrow. We'll see. That's not 100% confirmed yet either. We will keep you posted. But for today, that's going to be it. That is our show. We want to thank our listeners. Want to thank my co-hosts. Want to thank our partners. As always, we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Till then, go make it a great day.